Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to continue our discussion of the factors affecting thermal comfort, and we'll look at them on a psychrometric chart. So what is a psychrometric chart? And everybody go ahead and say that word right now. Psychrometric. All right. It is a tool to visually compare temperature and relative humidity. That's all it is. All right, don't get overwhelmed. It looks a little confusing, but all you're doing is comparing temperature and relative humidity. It's useful because we use it to map those environmental conditions that affect thermal comfort. So here's an example of one from your textbook. Figure 4.5b is the one that I've chosen to demonstrate. And let me zoom in so it's a little bigger on your screen. So here we are. Of the four major environmental factors of thermal comfort that we talked about in the last video, this one covers temperature and relative humidity. So on the bottom of your screen right here is the temperature scale, and it runs from colder on this side to hotter on this side. All right, colder to the left, hotter to the right. On the right-hand side of the graph is your absolute humidity. But remember that absolute humidity varies by temperature. So what we're more interested in when we're talking about human comfort is relative humidity. So relative humidity is shown on the graph with these curves right here. So you read relative humidity off of the curves of the graph, and you can see their measurements right here, 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%. So in general, in this direction, it gets wetter, more humid, and in this direction, it gets less humid or drier. So hotter, colder, wetter, drier. That's what we're measuring on this graph. Now, in the last video, I gave you some general boundaries for human comfort zones. It turns out we can map them on this type of graph, and that's one of the most useful things that you can do with this graph. Let's take a look. Our human comfort zone for temperature was between 68 degrees, 65, 66, 67, 68 right there, and 78 degrees. So that's right here. Right. Notice that as you get up in the hot and humid, your capacity to enjoy the heat kind of diminishes. So there's a little bit of an angle here. All right. So, but in general, between 68 and 78 degrees. Our human comfort zone for relative humidity, what was it again? It was between 20 and 80%. So let's take a look. Find the 20%, 0, 10, 20%, and you'll see that that is a boundary of our human comfort zone. And way up here at 80%, here is that other boundary. All right, so in general, those are the boundaries of our human comfort zone. I know I've said it before, but just to reiterate that everybody is different and individuals could be comfortable outside of this zone or they could be uncomfortable inside of this zone. All right, those are personal factors. And we are aiming for the general mass of humanity and keeping the most people comfortable that we can. All right. Now, as you move out of these comfort zones, it becomes uncomfortable in different ways. So let's take a look. Below the 20% humidity, all right, it's a little too dry. It's easy to understand, all right? If you get to the left or lower on or colder on your temperature zone, it can be cold and dry. If you get kind of to the right of our comfort zone or higher temperature, it can be hot and dry. Moving up in the humidity, if you get above that 80% humid line, it will be too humid. If you're above 80% humidity and above your 78 degree temperature, it'll be hot and humid. If you are below the 68 degree temperature and kind of up in the higher humidity levels, it will be cold and humid. Right? So based on where you are on this psychometric chart, there are different levels of comfort and discomfort. And one of the interesting things about this chart is that we can see them graphically. Now, I have in your module a lot more resources to help you learn how to read these psychrometric charts and walk you carefully through it. And there's also a PDF available of a very complicated chart for you to print out or use on your screen for your exercises this week. But don't worry, it reads just like the one we just saw. On the bottom, take a look, we've got the temperature, and it goes from colder, 20 degrees, to warmer, 120 degrees. And along the right-hand side, it's got the absolute humidity, okay, from less water to more water. And then these curving, sloping lines right here, these are the relative humidity lines. And let's see, in this particular illustration, they're labeled right here. So 10%, 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, etc. All right. So in this video, you got introduced to a psychrometric chart, what it is, and the basics of how to read it. And we talked about how to map the different comfort zones on your psychrometric chart. In the next video, we're going to talk about some different comfort strategies. Thanks, everyone.